Namaste and welcome everybody. My name's Lindsey Porter and I'm a yoga teacher and a tutor, and I'm passionate about sharing yoga for all minds and bodies. I'm also a signatory of the Mental Health Charter in Scotland, which helps break down the barrier for people with mental health challenges to participate in activities like yoga and sport. And there's some amazing, inspiring people out there in the world right now who are also doing great work in sharing these messages, helping break down that idea of mental health stigma and just empowering others through their own stories. And today I'm delighted to be talking to one of them, and I wanted to share the conversation with you. And today I'm talking with Tyler Simmonds. So let me tell you a bit about Tyler. He's based in Canada. He's a public speaker and he's a filmmaker, and he speaks openly about his lived experience with mental illness, reminding people that recovery is possible. He's recently released an award-winning short film called In My Mind. He's got a TEDx talk out there about the power of getting back up, so things to watch when you get a moment. And he's recently launched his new website called Stillness is Key. And he's currently working on a feature-length documentary, preparing for his debut theatre acting role in Psychosis 448. And beyond all that, he's also developing his performance art piece titled Stripped. So he's definitely a very busy person, and I'm so delighted that he can join us today. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Very exciting. And Tyler's, we're speaking live by Zoom today via Canada, where it's in the morning and it's the afternoon here in Scotland.
Thank you.
So, Tyler, in terms of the UK this week, it's our Mental Health Awareness Week, and the theme that we've adopted throughout the nation is the idea of kindness. So, I was interested, first of all, just to ask you, in what ways do you work with this idea of kindness, both for yourself and in all the work that you do and the messages that you share around mental illness and mental health?
Yeah, I think kindness is I think it's so important. It helps me, and I think it can help the world. I think it can help us all just be more empathetic and more compassionate towards others. When we talk about mental health, and to talk about my own experience with mental health, with depression, anxiety, and um, it can be really lonely living with mental illness. Um, and kindness is something that really is really healing. Um, I do certain things just to be kind, and I always feel so much better. It just puts me in a headspace, like in a positive headspace. As you know, the pandemic that's going on around the world, there there have been moments where I felt really helpless, and I felt like almost like the world was ending at times. And then I got to a place where I had to realize this isn't in my control. What's in my control is how I can react to this. And what's also in my control is if I want to turn this into something beautiful, like I try to do outside of the pandemic with my art and stuff like that. So I actually started taking on this task like every day to just do things to make people feel good about themselves, because I know that these are lonely times. A lot of people are isolated, well, supposed to be isolated here in Nova Scotia, and a lot of loneliness can come with that, and a lot of other things, like people can be in households that they don't really want to be in right now.
Mm.
And I'm trying my best to figure out how I can inject some love into those people's lives. Not that I can change the world, but I can do my part, and I can work on my little piece of just trying to spread a little bit of kindness out there. And it's healing for me, and I feel that it's healing for others too. and it's so important.
Lovely. And I do find it quite fascinating in a kind of way how this pandemic and the virus is really quite a leveler in some ways, in the fact that I think we're all engaging and realizing we have mental health and it can be impacted at any moment. No one's immune to it. And especially people we're living with mental illness, I guess they already know that space, but suddenly the whole world is kind of potentially in a similar space. And one of the things
Yeah.
I've loved about watching your work and hearing your stories, Tyler, is you talk about your own illnesses or disabilities, whatever word we're using, but as your superpowers. And I just think, wow, I mean, how to reframe something that is suddenly so supportive and empowering to everybody. Can you share a bit more about your superpowers with us?
For sure. I love that I put that out there, that I look at them as superpowers now. And because I feel that that can be so empowering. It's empowering for me. I think that no matter what it is that we are dealing with, we can find something in there that can change our perspective. Um, for me, living with depression, anxiety, and ADHD, and also having a lot of moments in my life where I had thoughts of suicide. Um, these are things that can go into a really dark place. But I realized that I could look at them in a different perspective. These things that are so dark that I looked at as my flaws, I can actually turn them into something beautiful. That really dark time in my life, I can turn it into a film, or I can make a poem about it. And it can actually help people understand what I was going through more. It can help them relate to it. It can help them think, oh, I'm not the only one that's dealing with this. And I think of that as a superpower. I think having that ability to turn darkness into light is a beautiful thing. And I think it's something we all can do. And I think it's a superpower that we all have. Yeah.
I agree. And I'd just like to add to that. So, also from a point of reaching beyond, as a parent, I have two children under 10, and one of those has a disability. And these kind of messages really help support me as a parent who maybe finds it harder to understand and interpret what's going on for that child. But to have this sort of idea about actually, in my mind, getting used to it being a superpower is really helpful for me and how the language and how I interact with my own children. So, I think the benefits of have this ripple effect really far and wide. So, yeah, please keep doing what you're doing. Really
Thank you
helpful.
so much. Thank
So,
you.
Tyler, I have a big love of yoga, and we've met ourselves on some Buddhist talks with the lovely Pemmadeki. I have to ask you this question. I know you've dipped in and out of yoga and Buddhism. What do you find it brings you?
In one word, it brings me peace. It brings me so much peace. Um, to get a little bit deeper into it, it really, I think of it as like, it's sort of like holding up a mirror and seeing myself for who I truly am. Meditation and yoga, like these things really are connecting with, for me, it's connecting with myself on a deeper level and understanding myself more. Um, I feel that we're so affected by external things and a ton of things all the time, especially with the internet, social media, and so many ideas that we are being fed. And um, it's almost like we are taught to believe certain things. And a lot of these things aren't true to our core. And meditation and mindfulness and um, just going deep within, I feel like it really just shows me what my true values are, what my true beliefs are, who I truly am. And it gets rid of all of the noise. And sometimes it can bring things up that aren't very pleasant, but at the same time, that's where the no judgment comes in, and it's just observing. Um, and it's just so helpful. I feel like it has helped me grow as a person over the years so much, more than anything, really.
Lovely. And another thing I find that somebody like you expressing this and sharing this is so powerful because it crosses more boundaries, doesn't it? It crosses gender, it crosses race,
Yeah,
crosses ages. Like, it really makes it that message that it's for everybody. And that is so important. Um,
exactly.
so you mentioned a very good thing about the social media. We have to use it, but it can have this other effect of being overwhelming. And, if you've got attention deficit things going on, maybe, it sort of plays into that. What sort of things would you suggest people maybe listening today that are struggling with some of these things? And I know you usefully cover these something in your short film, In Your Mind, but any things you could offer somebody right now?
I would say right now it's really important to keep track of your activities. And I've been doing this really intentionally since the pandemic started. I feel like I was in fight or flight mode, and I was like, okay, I have to make sure I don't go into a depression because I'm going to be isolated and things are going on in the world that are really confusing right now. So I have to use all of my coping skills. So find those coping skills, and whether that be meditation, whether that be going for walks, reading, doing things that you love, and also tracking them is important, I think, because this is a really weird time, and if it feels like there's like no concept of time because everything's just so different now. And I think with myself, I've been like tracking my different activities, and then I make like this list of things that I want to do to be productive, like even cleaning my room, and it just makes such a difference. And then make sure that I carve out a specific amount of time for play. Um, so I'll play a video game, or I will just hang out with my brothers and watch a movie or something like that. And it's really important to make sure that we don't burn out with the productivity of all of this, and just be easy on ourselves as well. Remember that we're all human. Um, we're going to have moments where we're frustrated. We're going to have moments where we are confused, and that's okay because we're human. Um, the big, I think the big thing is to just remember that we we can get through this, and the way through this is, I think, in flow. Just remembering we don't have control over this. Only thing that we can control is how we react. So it's a good opportunity to become a better human, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for just sharing all those words. I mean, it's very kind of you to come and connect with us, but also to share all of these important messages. And Tal, I'd just like to give you a heartfelt thanks for sharing also your vulnerability and your creative fearlessness. And I'm sure this message is going to support many today and beyond this. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank
Namaste.
you so much. I appreciate it.